my chair is sinking, so I'm actually kind of like going lower. Interesting. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, this is going to be a long one, so make yourself a cup of coffee or cocktail or whatever. I'm putting chapters into this, so it's going to be a little bit easier to bounce around. But it is definitely going to be a long video. So, let's get on to it. Hello, and welcome back to Crowing FPV. Now, this video was originally going to be making a lithium-ion battery. That's what I intended to do. But turns out I don't have some of the things that I'm supposed to have in order to do it. I thought I had some balance leads, don't have those. I don't have any clapped-on tape. I thought I did. I don't. And then my multimeter died on me. So, yeah. So I need to get a new multimeter. So that's going to have to wait. So instead, what I am going to do today, in this video, is I'm going to put this right here. This is the Race Day Quads BN-880 GPS and compass. And I'm going to put it onto my 4-inch long range, my Flywoo Explorer Long Range 4-inch, which does come with a GPS unit. But as you can see, let me pull it out here. There is a significant size difference between the two of these right here. And hold on, it's still detecting my face. There we go. All right, so the BN-880, which is this one, the bigger one, and then this is pretty much a BN-220. And the difference between the two of them is the BN-880 has a built-in compass, and I want the built-in compass to use iNav. So, not only is it going to be throwing in a better GPS unit with the compass, it's also going to be using iNav. And I have only put iNav on there just to play around with it, just to see how it actually goes onto the flight controller, how it flashes, stuff like that. And I kind of flew it just a little bit, but a lot of the features just weren't available because I didn't have a compass. Now, the Flywoo Explorer comes with a barometer, and it comes with the GPS, but you also need a compass to get all the features of iNav. So I want all the features of iNav, and I want to use this as like a tester because I want to use iNav on, like, for instance, my long range 5-inch. So let's get started. Now, I have right here, I already have the flight controller removed, and I have it all pretty much prepped. I removed some of the junk that was on there. For instance, I removed the old GPS unit, and I also took this thing out of there. There we go. This is the Flywoo Bluetooth Nano. Now, I have this on 4 quads, and 2 of them came directly from Flywoo, and none of them work. Don't know. Beats me. All I get is a red light on here. Can't seem to connect to it. To be honest with you, I didn't really dig into it to see if I can figure out the problem. I just was like, well, I'm not getting connected. Screw it. Anyway, so I just got rid of that completely. And we are now going to solder this all up. All right. So this right here is the flight controller. It's right over here. Let's get this to focus in. There we go. This is the flight controller. This is the Flywoo Goku F411 flight controller. And it goes along with the stack that is a 4-in-1 35 amp ESC. These are 16 by 16. Actually a really small, tiny little flight controller and ESC that really does have quite a bit of power to it. It kind of surprising that they're 35 amp on these on the little ESC here. I'll show you the ESC. Here we go. ESC's right here, but I already have everything all already soldered on, so I'm not really pulling it out. There's no reason to. But anyway, that's the ESC. It's really pretty basic, simple, straightforward. Nothing fancy. I am going to grab a little microscope here. And by the way, I have one of these guys. It's really cool. Check it out. So it's a microscope that you can put the stuff underneath and you can get a nice, good, close look at it. And the best part of it is it records it to an SD card. And so you're going to be seeing that. All right. Hit the record button on this thing. Funny thing is it records only a minute at a time, but it just continues to record. So I have like, it's 5 minutes long. I actually have 5 video files. It's ridiculous, but anyway. All right, so I removed quite a bit of the stuff off of here. And one of the reasons why I bought this, I think it's like 65 bucks or something. It's really cheap. Is that I'm getting older and things are a little bit harder to see. So this just makes life a little bit easier. Plus, it's kind of nice to really get a good look at things. Like for instance, move this wire out of the way. This flight controller is really, really tiny, really, really small, and there was wires right in here, and I just want to make sure that when I removed them, that I didn't end up getting solder onto other pads to create a short. So I use this to look at it, double check, and make sure I'm not going to have an issue later on. All right, everything looks good. Now that actually might be jumped right there. Yeah, see how well this works? All right, let me fire up the soldering iron. See if I can clean that up. So what I want to do with this is just come in here. Can I just clean it up? There we go. That's clean now. There we go. Good and clean. All right. So in order to wire this up, what's nice is that they come with a wiring harness already set up for it. And it's just, you plug it into the BN-880, and then you pretty much just have to solder it into your flight controller. So this is your SDA plug right here. This is going to be your ground. This is TX, RX. This is VCC, and this is actually SCL. Now the two on the outside, SDA and SCL, are for your GPS. These two right here are designed for GPS. Now, if you look at most flight controllers, and even this little guy here, I have an SDA and SCL. I have them pretty much right here and right there. And you just have to pull up a diagram, and I'll pull the diagram up here on the screen right now just so you can see it. Wow, that one looks like crap. Now this does have this entire
flight controller and ESC is coated in conformal, so it looks a little bit worse than what it actually is. So now I don't need that with this because I'm not soldering anything onto it. I am just going to be using the plug. All right, so I'm going to be using the plug here, and just simply, what I'm going to do with this wiring is I'm going to, for the most part, kind of just get a feel for where it's going to be sitting at. And it's just so weird because I'm using my phone right now for this downward shot. And it's like the camera's over here. It's like, whatever. So it's going to be sitting in this. Upside down, of course. Back here. So I want a little extra room. Cut it right there. My desk area is actually very, very small. So it's like crowded. It's crazy. Now, what I have here is actually copper tape. And what the copper tape is going to do, just like what Flywoo did with theirs, is they have copper tape on there. And pretty much it just insulates the wiring from any electrical interference. Since it's pretty much, the wiring is going to be going underneath the Vista. So it just makes it a little bit easier, a little bit better for it to acquire satellite signals. The satellite lock just makes it quicker and faster. All right, so I am going to solder this up. Actually, I'm going to pre-tin first, is what I mean. And if you don't know what pre-tinning is, I would say you need to go check out some videos online and figure out pre-tinning and figure out soldering. So pretty much the pre-tin is just simply grab, these little silicone wires. I just grab it with my fingernails and I just pull a little bit off. So I just got these all pretty much the tips of them exposed so that I can go through and put some solder on them. All right, so I like to use this actually I think it was JB that I heard this from, I think. I can't remember who exactly. What this is that tacky stuff that you could put on the walls and hang stuff with. It just holds things down a little bit easier. Just going to show you real quick how to tin the tip of a wire. Here we go. See? That's it. Tinned. Done. Super simple. Super easy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish off all these. All right, so all of those are tinned. So now I want to prep the, well, I want to tin the flight controller. All right, what is this? I think it's just, yeah, okay. So I have, on this I have conformal coating to make it a little bit more water resistant, and I just had some on there, so I just want to make sure I got that off of there. Okay, good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tin the pads. I'm literally like remodeling my my office. I'm remodeling it, and everything is just everywhere, and it's really annoying. All right, so here's what I use. This is a flux, and it's a no clean flux. Never seems to give me an issue. Now, anytime you're going to go through and you're going to solder, you should always use flux. It really, really makes a huge, crazy amount of difference. Here we go. And all right, so here we go. Look at this. these pads on this are so tiny. I mean, they're just itty bitty, tiny little pads, and I just crossed 2 of them right now. So, fix that. You just take soldering iron. And there we go. I kind of moved everything over to one side, but it should be all right. A little bit of an issue is that I have, there we go. Issue here is that I have a lot of conformal on there. Here we go. And there we go. Good. All right. It's a really, really small, tiny, minuscule soldering on this. It's nuts. So I want to heat these up a little bit. Kind of clean off any of that conformal that's on there. So, first things first, we need to get this all wired up. Here we go. This one right here is SDA, and this is SCL. And then I got, this is LED, which is not needed. This is RX1, TX1. This is ground right here. And this is actually a 3.3 volts, but I'm not going to be using that. I'm actually going to use this one right here, which is plus 5 volts. And that's what I need for this. I need plus 5 volts. It says VCC, but I'm not going to hook it up to the VBAT, which is down over here. I'm going to put it on the plus 5 volts because I think it only needs 5 volts. So, first thing I'm going to do is SDA, and SDA coming off of the GPS. It's going to be the yellow, which is the first one. It's actually really kind of tricky to do this. Come on. This is a lot harder than it actually seems using this camera. Good. Finally. Okay. Next one is ground. Go down the line. Make sure this is kept kind of nice and tight and clean. I want these wires to be nice and straight. Here we go. Ground is in there. There is nothing touching in between. All this down here, a lot of this is just flux and conformal coating. So I'm not too worried about that. All right, next one down the line is TX. And here is RX. So you go TX to RX. Wait, what did I do? Oh, Jesus. I'm an idiot. That doesn't go there. It goes right here. So I screwed up on that one, but I realized it and I fixed it. Okay. So, this should be wired up properly now. So, alright. So, got it wired up. Like that. And I am going to put some tape on there. I apologize if I'm not getting this in the center of my camera on my phone here. I really can't see the screen, so I'm trying to do the best that I can. This stuff is kind of goofy, but it works really good. So I don't need it to go all the way from one end to the other. Really just need it to protect the wires from the electronics coming off of the electrical EF signal or whatever coming off of the Vista. So I try and make it as flat as I can. Kind of like that, you know. Nice and flat as possible. There we go. Here we go. Let's go ahead and slide this puppy on there. Make sure those pins are in. There we go. It's connected there. So on this one, I like my battery to actually be on the bottom. So that's why I got the battery power lead coming out the bottom here. And let's stick this on there. Alright, so now the antenna. Alright, well, I guess the only thing to do now is just plug it in and see if it works. My multimeter's dead, so yeah. Alright, I'm getting lights on the there going. No smoke. No flames. Successful test. So now I'm going to slap this back together and I'm going to pull this up into beta flight real quick. And the main reason for that sounds stupid, but I want to just simply take a quick screenshot of my yurts. The reason for that is it's just easier to go back when I'm setting this up in iNav to just grab it off of here. Now, before I had GPS on yurt 2, but it's now going to be on yurt 1. So it's the only difference with that. All right, now I'm in iNav, and I want to flash firmware. And what I have on here is Flywoo. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Earlier I said it's F411. It's actually the F745 Nano. It's this one right here. I don't know why I said it was the F411. So I want to correct that. Full chip erase, blah, blah, blah. Oh. Let's see. Let's go with the latest stable. Load it online. And we have it loaded online. It's the Ballistic Buzzard iNav 5.1. And I'm going to flash it. And here it goes. It's erasing. Alright, so it's successful. So I'm just going to click connect.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of do this in a abridged version. Now, earlier, when I was going through and setting this up, I recorded everything. So I was actually like going through and recorded every single thing that I did and kind of was talking to myself as I was doing it. So I was talking kind of quiet and it wasn't really good narration. Plus, there's a whole bunch of crap that just wasn't needed. So I'm going to cut all that out and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show you just how I have everything set up on here. And I think that's the best way to do it. Now, there are some things that I am going to show you from my previous recordings, like for instance, doing the calibration and all that fun stuff. So let's just get to it now and I'll kind of show you. So right now I am, wow. Ignore that noise you hear in the background. That is my 3D printer going crazy. Okay. So in iNav, and as you see, I have iNav 5.1. I have my quad all hooked up. And if you've used Betaflight before, it's very, very similar because it's just a fork of, was it Clean Flight or whatever it is? Anyhow, first thing you want to do is make sure that everything is good here. As you can see, you can just kind of move this around and make sure your gyro is good, or accelerometer. Calibration, I'm going to show you how to calibrate this right now.
The calibration in iNav is quite a bit different than using it in Betaflight. As you can see here, we got to configure the calibration. Or we got to configure the accelerometer. Whew. Boy, I tell you, today is just a tough day for me. All right, so step one is to make sure it's good and level. So click accelerometer, calibrate accelerometer, and it's going to do that. Step two is flip it upside down. So we're going to flip it upside down. There we go. And turn it on its side with the front of it facing to your right. Done. And face it upwards. Done. To the left. Done. And straight down. And done. All right. So everything is calibrated on this. Accelerometer, so on and so forth. So we're just going to save and reboot it. There we go. It's saved and rebooted.
Okay. Now, in the ports, I had to go through and set this up to run with DJI and with my GPS. Now, as you can see, this little tiny 16 by 16 flight controller has a ton of UARTs. It's just nuts. It's crazy how many things you can plug into this tiny little itty bitty micro freaking flight controller. Anyhow, as you can see right here, this is UART 3. That is set up for my DJI Vista. Actually, it's not DJI Vista, it's the Caddx Vista. Anyway, I was having an issue before because I'm just used to always clicking the MSP port here and then, whatever. But with iNav, make sure for your DJI, you do not select MSP. You just simply come over here to this drop down and you choose DJI FPV VTX. That's it. You don't have to click MSP on it or anything else. Now, UART 4, since I use DJI radio, I have this selected here as serial, and I left that alone. And then for my GPS, which happens to be on UART 5, earlier in the video, I was thinking it's UART 1, and that's because I was looking at the wrong diagram for wiring up my flight controller. Smart, right? Anyhow, for this, you just simply select GPS and be done with it. With the BN-880, I just put it at 11/15/2000, and everything seems to work right. Now, under configuration, I have my accelerometer, which is MPU 6000. My magnetometer, which is my compass, is actually, with this one, is a HMC 5883. And as you can see, there are tons of different protocols in here. Auto does not work. It just turns it off. If you put it on auto or anything else, that just doesn't seem to work with it. HMC 5883 is what you want to use with the BN-880. The barometer, which happens to tell you like your altitude and stuff like that. I left that alone, didn't touch that. Pilot tube, rangefinder, and optical flow, I have set to none because I do not have an optical flow on here, and I'm not sure what the pilot tube and rangefinder really is for, so I'm leaving that be. I'm sure that's for some other type of sensors that iNav can work with. Down here, under other features, pretty much left everything pretty much just the way that it was, other than I had to select GPS for navigation and telemetry. And I left everything else pretty much stock. Over here, I didn't touch anything. This is all for your batteries and stuff like that. Fail-safe, very important. I have this set up to return to home. PID tuning, like I said, I really didn't touch any PIDs. Didn't really do anything with that, and I need to. So that is something that I will be working on soon. Advanced tuning, never touched that either. Programming, I have not touched. Receiver, of course, I set up my receiver to work with my DJI. Now, if you're running other things like Crossfire and so on and so forth, Express LRS, you just have to set that all up. Modes are the same thing as in any of the other ones. However, there are some different things. Like, for instance, ARM is the same as your EMU flight, beta flight. Same with setting up angle and horizon. And whatever is not angle or horizon is automatically acro. So I only set angle and horizon. Navigation position hold, I have set up. And navigation return to home, I have set up. And altitude hold. Now, position hold, as you'll see here shortly, position hold is you flip the switch and the thing pretty much stays still. Stays where it needs to be. Now, you're not going to get these options right here if you don't have all the things that you need to use iNav. Like before, when I installed it real quick onto this exact quad, running my older GPS unit, I didn't have return to home or nav position hold. I did have altitude hold because I had a barometer. So that allowed for it to set itself at a certain altitude and kind of just stayed there. And that is all that I really adjusted on here. Now, this does not auto-detect like Betaflight does. So, in this, you just have to manually select which button it is from the drop-down. If you don't know exactly what channel each of your buttons are on your radio, it's simple. Choose one, flip it. If it if you don't see it working, choose another from the drop-down, and then continue on. Pretty basic, pretty simple. Adjustments, I didn't touch anything in that. GPS, when I did here, I made sure I chose the U-blocks. Or actually, first thing I did was turn on GPS and navigation telemetry. That needed, because that's automatically turned off when you first install the firmware. I chose U-blocks, ground assistant to auto-detect Galileo satellites, and I left that all alone. Now in here, this is actually kind of cool, and I'm going to show you just how to adjust this so that it works properly with your quad. Now, with your magnetometer, or AKA compass, you want to set it up to be the exact position that you have on your quad, as close as you possibly can. And the reason for that is so that the firmware knows exactly the orientation and the angle that your compass is sitting at, so that it knows how to offset everything so it gets a correct heading or bearing, or it knows, north, south, east, west properly. So when you look at your GPS unit, if you have a compass built in, like for instance this one here, the BN-880, the compass is built in to the GPS unit itself. Now you'll see on your GPS unit, you'll see this little silver dot that's on there, a little metal dot surrounded by the square ceramic area. Now, when I first got on here with this dot was actually oriented up here, which is backwards. So I had to adjust that, and it's really, really simple to adjust it. It's just using these sliders down here. And as you can see, This one here, adjust the pitch. This one here, adjust the roll. And this one here, adjust the yaw. So, with those right there, you can completely rearrange everything on your compass. And that's it. It's really, really simple. Mission control is something that I am going to play with here shortly. This is actually a pretty slick and cool thing. I have not done it yet, but I am so tempted to do this, and I might actually do this tomorrow, where I'll set up some waypoints and see if it actually flies to them. It's a very, very cool idea. Now, in my OSD, since I am running DJI, over here in this area where it says DJI HD FPV, hide unsupported elements. Click that, and it's going to get rid of everything else that you're not going to be able to see in your heads-up display in the OSD on your DJI FPV goggles. However, I don't get throttle position or any of that stuff, so I'm not sure why that's even on there. Who knows? I haven't done the FPV WTF hack to my goggles so I can get full on OSD, but it's fine. It's pretty much what you get right here, and I'm happy with that. LED strip, didn't touch it. Sensors, I did not. Just shows you what sensors are running. Black box, of course. It's always good to keep that clear if you need to do some adjustment. And that's it. That's pretty much all that I did in this, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty much the same thing. There's not much difference between this and Emu Flight or Beta Flight. It's very, very similar. And that's it. Very basic, very simple, but there is a lot more that you can do with this, and there's a lot more that I plan to do with this in later videos. All right, so this is going to be the first test of my Flywoo Long Range Explorer 4-inch running iNav with the upgraded BN-880 GPS unit on it. Now I'm flying this with a 3000 mAh battery. Now these batteries have been giving me a little bit of an issue, and I think I kind of destroyed them by charging them wrong. Because the charger that I had after my good one broke didn't have an option for lithium ion, so I was charging them as LiPos, which is charging them a little too much, and I think I ended up damaging some of the cells on them, but it should be good enough for the test today. It just seems like I don't get as much flight time out of it. Running SMO 4K on it, just kind of doing it as exactly how I would normally fly it. And I also deleted the black box logs, cleared it up, so it is ready to record black box data. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, because I have no idea what the hell to do with it. And at the same time, I have this. This is my little diagram of what I have everything set up for on my radio. And yes, I am using a DJI radio. I use that on everything. So I'm going to get this up into the air and see exactly how well it does. Okay, just sitting here, it's beeping, and I'm not able to arm it. I have 15 satellites locked on. Not sure why it won't take off. Huh. It looks like I made this trip for nothing because I didn't bring my laptop. I should have brought my laptop. Damn it. Okay. Back home. Connect it up. Figure out what's going on with it. Not sure why I was doing that. I had to have everything set up right.
No, we'll figure it out. All right, so here we are at the iNav test on the Flywoo Explorer 4, take 2. All right, so the problem that I found before, why I was having an issue, was that I actually had the compass wires switched. So it's what, SDA and SCL or whatever it is. I had those flipped and all that fun shit. So let's give this a try again. It doesn't beep when I plug it in now. So that's good. There we go. Let's see how this is working. So those occasional beeps, I think, have to do with the GPS and everything else kind of clicking on, acquiring satellites and all that fun stuff. So let's take a peek here. All right. So it's showing I have 20 satellites right now. Not sure if I believe that. I always question that. Okay, it's beeping at me. So what I think I need to do is, where's my phone? There's my phone. I think I need to calibrate the compass. All right. So in order to calibrate the compass, I have 30 seconds to do it, which is ridiculous. So throttle is up to the right corner and straight back. So that's, there we go. All right, so spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it. I don't know if I got everything, but we'll find out. And, all right, sure. Sounds good to me. There we go. So now I need to save it. Saving is just down. All right, there we go. Okay. Oh, now it charges up. Good. Okay. All right, let's give this a quick test and see how she flies. A little scared. Try and take off right in front of me like that. But let's find out. All right, here we go. All right, I'm in position hold. And it's holding. Very, very cool. Take it out of position hold. Let's buzz this around. Ooh. I don't like that dip. Okay. So it does this dip when I yaw. When I yaw to the left, or maybe it's when I yaw to the right. No, it's not doing it right there. But if I'm going forward like this, there you go, right there. And I'm yawing and rolling at the same time. It dips when I go to the left and when I go to the right. It's kind of weird. Doesn't do that in Betaflight. So, no clue. I'm going to bring this in low and see if I can do return to home. Rescue. Let's going up. All right, let's try that again. All right, I'm in position hold and rescue. And it's coming back. All right. Very cool. So right now I'm flying actually in position hold. Flies pretty slow. Pretty cool. My goggle battery is about to die here in a minute. Oh, I don't like when it does that. Put it over here, and I'm going to do position hold again. There we go. Position hold is somewhat okay. I would say that's not too shabby. Alright, so we got that. So now altitude hold. Right there. You don't really see altitude mode doing anything. You see it go into like a stabilized mode. Well, one thing is it doesn't do that. Oh, it did do that dip. Great. Okay. Well, I just crashed. Alright, so I wasn't very far. And I wasn't very high, so there really shouldn't be any damage to the quad. Yeah, there's something weird when I yaw and hit the roll at the same time. It just wigs out. I've had that issue with Emu Flight, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was with it. But Beta Flight, with the stock tune from Flywoo, doesn't give me those issues. So I don't know what's causing that. I don't know why it would do that. It's kind of bizarre. But I'm sure it's actually in the tune, so yeah. Alright, here we are. And where's my battery? Oh, there's my battery. Ejected the battery. Very cool. Bent that up. Yeah, it's all good. Battery looks fine. All right. Well, that's that for the first initial test with iNav. Position hold worked. Altitude hold did whatever it does. Flew. Return to home worked. So I would say success. It's set up. It's running good. There's some tuning, some fine tuning that, of course, I think I'm going to have to do with it. Like the PID tune and stuff like that. Now, I'm terrible at PID tuning. And iNav is completely different than like Beta Flight tuning, PID tuning and whatnot. So it's even different than that. So it's like, I did clear out my black box, so I have the black box recorded. So I'll be able to get in there and take a look at that or send it to somebody who knows more than me.